Well, go
And,
ahead. Go ahead.
and we're live. So, hey everyone, it's Brandon from the BQ Report, bringing you another episode with Mr. Bryan Santiago.
hmm
Um, Bryan, would you like to introduce yourself? And could you please tell us a little bit more about the kids' inauguration and the children inauguration that you've been planning
Ah,
and the event that's happening tomorrow, Sunday at I think 5 p.m. So,
uh,
I
okay.
tell the
Uh,
people about it. It's very, very interesting stuff right here.
Thanks. Hi, Brandon, and hi, everyone. I am Brian. I'm 16 from the great state of New York, and I am a volunteer with the National Children's Campaign, a 501c3 nonprofit. And yes, we are working on the National Children's Inauguration, which is a big digital event, all remote, thankfully. 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific, and you can watch live on our Facebook and YouTube pages. You can easily search them up, or you can visit our website, nationalchildrenscampaign.org, for more information.
That's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to actually join tomorrow and listen to the speakers speak because they seem like they're amazing. And
Yes.
I heard Jamal Bowman will be there
Yeah.
as well,
hmm
and he's a congressman.
My
Uh,
congressional rep, actually.
that's fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's my understanding that you guys are celebrating the Biden-Harris administration, the inauguration
Uh,
ceremony, and that's like the reason for the entire event.
yeah.
Uh,
Something like that. But again, we are nonpartisan. We are a nonprofit. And so, because he's going to be an elected leader,
mm,
we have to push him to act on children, act on youth. There are 74 million kids, from babies to college students and college graduates, living in the United States,
yeah.
as well as military families abroad. We have to make sure that our school systems uh, and all of our social programs that the federal government is doing, they actually work for them and their families. So this is a big deal. And yes, we do have Representative Bowman from New York 16, and then we also have Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts, and we do have one more Capitol Hill lawmaker, but I'm not going to give her away because, as a
It's a
surprise.
surprise.
Yeah, but
You guys will have to
it's
tune
going to be
into
exciting.
this. You guys will have to tune into this to figure out what the surprise will be.
Yes, and we also have a bunch of other organizations, including the Union for Concerned Scientists, the ACLU, uh, and also a bunch of
Well, the ACLU is a
activists.
huge organization.
Yeah. Specifically, I think, from their New York State branch and Southern California, but maybe. Okay. But we also do have organizers and activists themselves.
Dude,
From
Brian, that's
across the
honestly
country.
impressive that you have so many people attending the event, even organizations that are high up in ranking and high up
Yeah.
in influence. So that's very impressive. I'm proud of that.
Thank you. Me and the team. So it was a very great effort from all of us. And we were very lucky to be a part of the Biden inaugural committee with their Martin Luther King Jr. National Day of Service. And so they have a Mobilize link where all of these organizations, like the Red Cross, community charities, uh, both local, state, and national, they're all there, and they have incredible stuff. So if you want to volunteer on Monday, you should really check it out. Or any day of the year, because volunteering is such a great experience, no matter what you do it for.
Mm,
And it's
definitely,
great to
definitely.
make a difference.
I love volunteering. I actually volunteered for the current governor, Gretchen Whitmer's campaign.
Ooh,
When she was running for governor, uh, I volunteered for her campaign and helped her knock on doors, canvass, and stuff like that. So that was
great.
very interesting. So I would love to volunteer again. That'd be awesome. So thank you for the opportunity. By the way, um, on this show we ask a lot of questions and stuff just to like figure out the viewpoints and understand each other's opinions and all that.
Okay.
Um, so I guess do you want to start with questions or do you want to talk more about the inaugural committee? What's on your
Fire
mind?
away with questions. I'm
All
great.
right. All right. I just wanted to make sure it's okay to ask you questions at this point. All
Yeah.
right. So let's start with your political views and your views on government, and just in general, what you think is the best way forward for the Biden-Harris administration. Because as I do understand, you understand a lot about what they represent and what they stand for with regards to policy and governmental relations and things of
Uh,
those natures. So, just what are your thoughts in general? They don't have to be super specific or anything. They can be
okay.
anything.
Uh,
Yep.
I, First off, I like to say that I don't I don't like labels much. I'm not really progressive. I'm not really moderate. Like kind of a combo. Uh, but yes. Um, me. I'm part of this election Twitter community, and I've always been saying that
I
I
heard a
am.
lot about that. I heard a
Yeah,
lot about the election Twitter thing, and the hashtags about election Twitter and the
like
map making,
maps and
and the
organizers. Yeah.
celebrations and
Hmm.
those cool tweets. It's like a whole organization within itself inside of
Yeah.
Twitter, and it's super awesome because it allows people to
Hmm.
connect with each other and
That's
grow,
true.
and just share similar interests
Yeah.
like political stuff, political
Mhm.
topics and
Of
stuff like
course.
that. So very, very
Yeah.
cool.
Like I've gotten in touch with some uh, county clerks who do elections work. Uh, there's other interested people who are like in high school or college also, and like they're Democrats or they're Republicans or they're progressives or they're moderates, but like we're all talking about like maps and data and shifts or like whatever goes on, and so it's like really fun.
So, when you guys get to college, because I know you're very young, so when you guys get to college, what do you plan on majoring in? Is it going to be political science, or what do you think is
Mhm.
like your major going to be? Because like this is probably like a question that like you don't have to really answer. I mean,
Yeah,
well, this is like a question that's like not really relevant, but I mean it matters. Like, I mean,
true.
have you actually thought about that?
Yeah, I actually have. I don't know where I'm going to college, but like I've been narrowing down my core interests for years. Like of
Mhm,
course
yeah.
civics and politics. I also like writing, so I thought like journalism or communications or public relations. But then like I also like as I said, like civics and government, I'm also like more of a history person too. I like to share the facts, the
Mhm.
backstories. Those are uh, what inspire me. So they're kind of connected, and then they're kind of not. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's who I am.
Well, that's awesome. For myself, if you want to know some background about myself, I actually majored in political science at Michigan State University, and so I have a degree in political science and a minor in peace and justice studies. And so I plan to attend law school after graduate. I already graduated this December, so I plan to attend law school
Congrats.
thank you. And then 2021, I plan to attend law school and become a lawyer. So that's my plan. I'm only 21 years old, so I'm only like 5 years older than you. So
Yeah.
it's it's like almost like in a similar like way, like connecting with each other. um so one more, I have another question basically. So
Go ahead.
w- what are your thoughts on the Trump's administration? What are your thoughts on Trump's job so far and what he's accomplished within the past 4 years? Because a lot of people have been criticizing him lately and like talking about his legacy and what he left behind, and based upon like the accomplishments and the policy platforms that he proposed on people, and many of like the the rhetoric that he has been imposing on people too. So like, I guess like, what do you think about his term? If you could evaluate it with one word, what would you use? What are your thoughts on how people will view that term in the future, or that term in the future? Because he is a one-term president.
Mm.
He didn't get elected for a second term.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Oh, if I could boil the Trump presidency down to one word, it would be uh, horrendous. there's been a ton of what has been going on from 2017 up until now, and well, the past 4 years have been remarkably historic. He's the first president to not have any government experience whatsoever.
That's true.
And he came into it,
He
like,
came
as we
into it
said,
unprepared.
yeah, like, but a lot of people had hoped that he'd do something, but of course, like, from day one, it was all downhill
Downhill.
from there. Especially now with
Totally.
with COVID and
Hmm.
coronavirus pandemic, like, not just like the health crisis, but also the economic crisis that is
Hmm.
going on.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
frankly,
how would you contrast that with the Obama administration?
ah, uh, so I think Trump really pushed so many people, regardless of age, to get into government, like, understand how it works, why are we in this sort of situation? Uh, but from what I remember about Obama, like, it literally boils down to character traits.
Mm.
Like, Obama wasn't a crazy, brash, tweet storming president. He actually legislated. He actually
Mhm.
spoke. Uh, of course, he's
He
a
was a great
talented
speaker, by the
lawyer.
way, I might add.
Yeah.
He was a great, fantastic speaker. And the way that he spoke in front of public crowds and
Mhm.
he as an orator, he
Yeah.
conveyed his message in a very effective manner.
Of
His
course.
policy platforms were amazing. The Obamacare is one example. He helped like millions of people get on healthcare.
Hmm.
There's so many accomplishments that I can name off the top of my head from the Obama administration. So, I mean, contrast that with Trump and you see how different they are and negatively correlated
Yeah.
with Trump.
Hmm.
So
Of course. Uh, Another question?
sure. Let's do a couple more. All right. So basically, so looking back at like hold on, let me rephrase that. So just so basically viewing Kamala Harris and viewing Joe Biden like together as one, as a president and a vice president, viewing them together as one, in that sense, what do you think will be their biggest accomplishment that they face or their biggest challenge that they face during their presidencies? And why do you think that they will overcome that hurdle?
Yeah. Uh, r right now, just days before inauguration, the biggest thing I am thinking that the ticket will face, like Biden Harris, is COVID. Really, COVID. It's January. The pandemic started last March. It's been 10, almost 11, almost a whole year of this. And so, frankly, this will have ramifications,
So
not
you
just,
think COVID is their biggest issue thus far that they should
yeah,
focus on and concentrate all their energy on?
yes, because that is how he got elected. Uh, Trump could have cruised to a second reelection had he not failed utterly at managing this. Um, yes, we did get a vaccine before the end of 2020. We did get multiple vaccines before the end of 2020, but the rollout of that has been incredibly hard. And then just shipping it and working with our nation's governors and our major cities has been, frankly, a disaster. And, well, COVID has, of course, hit, like, as I said, not just health and the economy, but also every single other aspect of everyday life.
Mhm.
Like, we're not out there going, no one is out there going to the inauguration because, of course, the pandemic, but of course, also the security threats.
Mhm.
President Trump has been uh, what is the word?
Flamboyant
He has been
or careless.
actively spreading misinformation, disinformation. Frankly, when his own federal government and his own security officials are saying this election was safe, this election was secure, and you indeed lost by this many votes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, no, it is rigged. No, look at all these voting machine companies. Look at all these people who tried to do something wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
so, frankly, he has sowed so much distrust in our country that there were people who literally broke into the Capitol and tried to, frankly,
Assassinate. They
damage
tried
our
to
government. Yeah,
assassinate
they
the
damaged
elected
our government.
officials.
Yeah, this is a threat to democracy, what Trump's presidency has. And of course, he's been doing a lot of this since he came into office, and of course, his campaign really was a crazy at first. The Republican Party viewed him as an outsider. They really didn't think he would ever win, but once he got the nomination and once he became president, it was an all-out cult of madness, a
Yeah.
personality cult. They all rallied around him
Well, it's funny you say that because
110%.
the Republicans actually thought for a long period of time that that Trump would be their savior. That Trump is an outsider. He's an independent candidate. He's not like other politicians. He's different, and he would make a huge, substantial, and everlasting change on American democracy. However, it didn't come out that way, and just analyzing the policies and many other things, it just seemed like it was a letdown. It wasn't anything too special, or wasn't anything too magnificent, but it was average at best. And so you're seeing that a lot with the Republicans' reactions to the insurrection. They finally flipped, but overall, Joe Biden's start has been great, fantastic so far, and I'm looking forward in the future to see how that progresses for sure.
That's true. He does have a rocky road in terms of his first few weeks in Congress, of course, with the second impeachment trial in the Senate. Of course, the Senate has just gone blue, flipped with the help of Georgia, but it's thin. It's 50-50, and then they have the Vice President Harris, uh, and Democrats still have the majority in the House, but like they lost a lot of seats. I think it was 11 districts that flipped to Republicans, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he has a uphill battle towards fixing and getting back on track for the country, really. And I'm saying it not just as like I am a Democrat myself, but I have always viewed government as not for partisanship, but it should be nonpartisan. It should be for the people, a government by the people, and working in the public good. Like I literally am a nonprofit volunteer, and of course, you're supposed to be nonpartisan. And so I'm speaking not just because like that's what I personally think happened to our country, but as general as it is, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, this is how our country has gotten under the Trump presidency. And yeah, there's a lot of never Trumpers who are saying like we won't be Democrats, we're still Republicans, but we hate Trump. And then it's a mess, and like you think 2020 was just as bad. 2021, at least it's a new start, but it's not looking that way.
Well, that's a great response. My final question is a huge question that I've been thinking about for a long time. So I've been thinking about this question, and I have zero answer to it. Maybe you can help me out with this question. So basically, the question is, do you think the Democrats and the Republicans can come together in some sort of bipartisanship to facilitate a good working policy into Congress that can get passed by the president and signed into law by the president whenever that happens.
Uh, so I think we saw part of that with the CARES Act, but I I did some digging on the CARES Act and found it was an entirely different bill written about healthcare that was introduced into the House last summer, so like the summer of 2019, and because the Republican majority Senate didn't take it up, they only said, "Hey, let's turn this into a coronavirus bill." And so, frankly, in terms of the pandemic,
The COVID relief bill, the stimulus package.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
bipartisanship at the first part of the pandemic was a success. Like, they came together, they understood that this is an emergency that has to be acted upon. But that we've been 10, 11 months out from that. The pandemic still isn't over. Now they're fighting again. And President-elect Biden, of course, recently introduced his financial plan. I think it's almost $2 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. But he will have some people in the Republican Party agree with him on some things. And there will be other people in the Republican Party who are hardcore against it, 100% in everything, in every part of the bill.
Well, one Republican said they wanted to impeach him already. They wanted to impeach him.
Yeah, I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia
It
14.
might have been her. It might
Yeah,
have been her.
like literally, she said in a tweet, January 21st, the day after Inauguration Day, I will introduce articles of impeachment against President Joe Biden.
And she had zero reasons to do that, actually.
That's true. Like, you literally have
He
the
hasn't he
impeachment
hasn't
of a
even got
former
into office
president.
yet. He hasn't even
Yeah,
got into office.
that's true. And like, this is that would be insane. You already have the impeachment trial of a soon-to-be former president, and then you have a president who literally hasn't been in office yet, and you already want to sign an
That
impeachment
honestly shows the bipartisan or the partisan
ship.
viewpoints of so
Mhm.
many Republicans right now. It
Mhm.
just shows the partisan viewpoint.
That is true.
I mean,
Like,
think about it. He hasn't even been into office yet. He hasn't
yeah,
got into
he's
office
just
yet.
like showing
And
his
they're
flesh.
already saying they want to
Yeah,
impeach him.
that's true.
What's the reason for impeaching a president that hasn't even got into office yet? It's simply bipartisan or simply partisan and
Yeah, it's dumb.
biases. And
Very dumb.
and it's a terrible decision in my
That's true.
opinion. I don't think that should be the norm at all. But hey,
Mhm.
Republicans try to be something they're not. So
Yeah, the Trumpist Republicans. Like, there's some good never Trumpers out there, but then again, they're still Republicans. And so, but like, as I said in the beginning, I'm more of a policy person, not much of a politics person. So like, I haven't been on an actual campaign really. I haven't like uh like I have a lot of friends who have volunteered for candidates. I have some friends who actually have met these candidates in person, so lucky them. But I have never been as lucky. Uh, but like, as I said, it's more supposed to be nonpartisan and a forum for public discussion instead of like bashing people automatically, arguing discourse after discourse after discourse. I hate it when that happens.
do you think that's part of the culture at this point? Do you think that's ever gonna like cease to exist? The partisan bickering?
Sadly, uh, it's become entrenched, really. That's a mainstay of what has been happening in DC. And it's not just now, it's been building up. Like, the Trump problem. Trump was only president for one term. And of course, he lost re election. But that problem has been building up in America, white supremacy, the belief in bringing back the Confederacy to the state of like dividing America in a second civil war.
Mhm.
These problems have always existed, with like of course Black Lives Matter, the protests around the shootings, and like of course how the police acted then and how the police acted towards literal insurrectionists in DC. These problems have always been here since century centuries ago,
Mhm.
almost 250 years of our country, and we have never ever let go of every single one of our problems. We just let them be in the back of our minds, slowly simmering until.
So what's the solution to all this? Because we talk a lot about the problems and we try to define the problems, and that's
That's true.
important too. Defining problems and understanding the problem is important. But I mean, what about the solution? Because a lot of people overlook the solution. And for example, you mentioned Black Lives Matter and those shootings and racism and systematic oppression and
Mm-hmm.
those types of things. What's the solution to all this?
Uh, Frankly, I I'm just one person. I don't know the solution to any of our national problems. It's a effort that we as a country will have to accomplish, and it won't just be, of course, like overnight in a snap. It'll take, just like how it took the Trump problem of the presidency of white supremacy and QAnon, how it literally took that to build. We it will take that much time or even more for it to get rid of from our society, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because we'll have to work together and find compromises, and at least show some more respect in our in our civic discourse, because like if we want one immediate step, it would have to be not you versus me, but all of us versus a terrible injustice.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can I keep referencing Abraham Lincoln's quote, a house on a
A house
house
divided
divided.
amongst itself cannot stand.
Yeah, and that is certainly true, not just in the time of the Civil War and the Reconstruction, but it is certainly true for America in the 21st century. As a global leader, as a superpower, like under because of the Capitol riots, the prime ministers of Canada, the UK, the president of NATO, all of these foreign dignitaries have told America, what is going on with you? Something is definitely wrong. Uh, and we will have it will take many generations, many decades to fix this. Uh, and it is frankly not due to one person, whether it be a private citizen or the president of the United States. It is due to the fact that everyone in every state and every territory has to come together and work out what is going on, uh, respectfully, of course, because if it's a you versus me problem, nothing good comes out of that. It only makes the problem worse.
Mhm.
It has to
I
be.
totally agree with you. In my opinion, I believe that truth trumps everything. Truth wins in the end.
That's true.
And if you ignite, well, if you unite people around the idea of truth,
Yeah.
then there will be some sort of compromise and long-lasting differences that can be agreed to based upon common notions of right
Mhm.
and wrong and
Yeah.
morality. Um, and so that's my take on that
Mhm.
specific topic of the Capitol insurrection
Mhm.
and many different countries calling on the U.S. to
Yeah.
actually remain responsible and mature
Mhm.
on the world stage because everybody's watching
Yeah.
the U.S. Transform into a nation where fascism basically is
Yeah.
imposing itself into a chaotic environment, and the democracy that you see is so important that it's getting crushed by some outside forces, and that's what we need to fix. But Bryan, I thank you for coming on to this Zoom session. I definitely want to have another Zoom session with you again. This was a very
Thank you for the
enlightening talk.
opportunity.
Anytime, man, anytime. So, um, thank you for coming on. I hope you have a great rest of your day, man.
Thank you. You too. And have a
I'll
great
see,
one.
I'll see you later.